The rain beat mercilessly against the thin, cracked window of Maya's apartment, each drop a steady reminder of the storm inside her life. The ceiling leaked again, a small bowl on the floor collected the water, half full already. Maya sat hunched over the worn-out mattress that doubled as her bed and couch, clutching her phone in trembling hands. Her world had been unraveling piece by piece. Her mother's medical bills had swallowed the last of her savings. The diner where she worked paid barely enough to cover groceries, let alone rent. And now, an eviction notice sat on her table like a death sentence, 7 days to vacate. Her chest tightened, her throat ached. It was all too much. She scrolled through her contacts, eyes blurry with tears, and found the one name she thought could help, Lena, her best friend since childhood. She pressed call, her breath shaky. "Please, just pick up," she whispered. The line clicked. Relief flooded her for a second, until a deep, unfamiliar voice answered. "Hello." Maya froze. This wasn't Lena. She should have hung up, apologized, done something. But the weight inside her cracked open, and words spilled out like floodwaters. "I can't do this anymore," she sobbed, not even caring who was on the other end. "I work until I can't feel my legs, I skip meals so my mom can eat, and it still isn't enough. They're going to throw me out. I'm so tired. So tired of fighting when I never win." There was silence, heavy and long. Panic rose in her chest. "What have I done?" She was crying into the ear of a complete stranger. "I'm sorry," she blurted out, fumbling with the phone. I dialed the wrong number. Just forget this ever happened." "Wait," the man's voice cut through firmly, but not unkindly. "Don't hang up." Something about the calm authority in his tone made her pause. "You sound like you've been holding this in for a long time," he said. "If you need someone to listen, I'll listen." Maya's instinct screamed that this was foolish. But her exhaustion was stronger than her pride. Against all logic, she spoke. She told him about juggling 2 jobs, about her mother's illness, about the scholarship she'd lost when hospital bills forced her to drop out of college. She confessed dreams she hadn't shared in years, that once, she had wanted to be an architect, to design places where people felt safe and hopeful. Now, she barely remembered what it felt like to hope. The stranger didn't interrupt, didn't offer empty clichés. He simply listened. When she finally ran out of words, sniffling into the silence, he said softly, "You're carrying more than most people twice your age could handle. And yet, here you are, still standing." His words, simple as they were, made her eyes sting again. "I'm Ethan," he added after a pause. "And you are Maya." "Well, Maya," he said gently, "maybe you dialed the wrong number. But maybe you didn't. The call ended an hour later. Maya lay staring at the ceiling, drained but strangely lighter. Still, shame curled in her gut. Why would a stranger care? What she didn't know was that Ethan Cole was no ordinary man. He was the CEO of Cole Industries, one of the most powerful real estate firms in the city. A man known for building glass towers that touched the sky, and for tearing down anyone in his way. He wasn't the kind of man people cried to on the phone. And yet, he couldn't shake her voice from his mind. For the first time in years, Ethan didn't review contracts or chase deals before bed. He stared out his penthouse window, thinking of a girl named Maya whose spirit was breaking under weight she didn't deserve. The next day, Maya trudged through another double shift at the diner. During her short break, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Hello," she answered cautiously. "It's Ethan." Her breath caught. "Why are you calling me?" "Because I want to see you," he said plainly. Maya laughed bitterly. "Why, so you can confirm I'm as pathetic as I sounded last night?" "No," Ethan replied, "because something tells me you're anything but pathetic." Against her better judgment, she agreed. That evening, she found herself in a small cafe downtown. She expected a stranger in casual clothes. Instead, a tall man in an immaculately tailored suit stood to greet her, his presence commanding the entire room. "You," she whispered, stunned. "You're..." "Yes," he interrupted with a small smile. "Ethan Cole." Her stomach flipped. She had seen his face on billboards, in the news. This man was worth billions. And here she was, in a second-hand dress, clutching a chipped purse. "I should go," she muttered, heat rising in her cheeks. But Ethan's voice stopped her again. "Sit, please. You came this far." Against reason, she sat. Over coffee, he asked her about her life again, but not with the detached politeness of a wealthy man making conversation. He leaned in, eyes sharp but softened with interest. as if her words mattered more than stock prices. When she confessed that she still sketched building designs on napkins and receipts, his gaze sharpened. "Bring them to me," he said. Her jaw dropped. "Why would you want to see my silly drawings?" "Because talent doesn't vanish just because life gets hard," Ethan replied. 2 weeks later, Maya stood in a skyscraper so tall it scraped the clouds, clutching a folder of her sketches. Ethan's assistant ushered her into a boardroom full of executives and architects. Her heart pounded in her chest. "This is Maya," Ethan announced. "She has ideas worth hearing." Maya wanted to melt into the floor. But when Ethan's steady eyes met hers, she found her courage. She spread her sketches across the polished table. Community centers with wide windows, libraries designed to feel like sanctuaries, shelters that radiated warmth instead of despair. The room went silent. "Interesting," one executive said finally, his tone skeptical. "But not profitable." Ethan's voice cut in, firm as steel. "Vision comes before profit." She sees what we've forgotten. For the first time in her life, someone powerful believed in her. That moment became the turning point. Ethan arranged for her to shadow his architects, to learn and refine her skills. He quietly paid her overdue rent, not as charity, but as an investment in her potential. At first, Maya resisted. Pride flared in her chest. "Why are you doing this for me?" she demanded one evening after a long day at the firm. Ethan studied her carefully. "Because you reminded me why I started all this. Not for the skyscrapers or the headlines. But for the people who live in what we build. You saw me when I'd forgotten myself." Maya didn't know what to say. But slowly, she allowed herself to believe. Months passed. Maya grew stronger, bolder. She presented designs in meetings, her voice no longer trembling. She moved her mother into a better apartment. The girl who once sobbed into the wrong phone number was becoming a woman who could shape skylines. And Ethan, once known as a ruthless tycoon, found himself changed, too. Her resilience reminded him of the humanity he had buried beneath profits. He admired her fire, her honesty, her refusal to be small even when life demanded it. One night, standing on the rooftop of his tallest building, the city lights glowing beneath them, Maya turned to him. "Why me?" she whispered. "Out of all the people in the world, why did you answer my call?" Ethan looked at her, eyes softened in a way few ever saw. "Because some calls aren't mistakes. Some are meant to be answered." Tears welled in her eyes, but this time, they weren't born of despair. She had dialed the wrong number. But in that single error, she had found not just rescue, not just opportunity, she had found someone who believed in her more than she ever believed in herself. And as the wind whipped around them, Ethan reached for her hand. For the first time in years, Maya didn't feel like she was drowning. She felt like she was finally learning to fly. The night was loud with rain. Water drummed against the cracked window of Maya's one-room apartment, slipping through the ceiling and splashing into a bowl she'd set out hours ago. Her mattress was damp at the edges, her only blanket thin and frayed. On the table lay a stack of unopened bills, each one a reminder of how close she was to losing everything. Her chest felt tight as she stared at the eviction notice on top. 7 days. That was all she had left. Her phone sat on the mattress beside her, screen glowing faintly in the dim light. With trembling fingers, she scrolled through her contacts until she reached Lena, her childhood best friend. If anyone could calm her panic, it would be Lena. She pressed call. A click. Relief surged through her chest. Lena, but the voice that answered wasn't Lena's. "Hello," a man's voice, deep and unfamiliar. Maya froze. Her first instinct was to hang up, but the storm inside her had already cracked wide open. I don't know what to do anymore," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'm working until I can't feel my legs, I skip meals so my mom can eat, and it's still not enough. They're going to throw me out. I can't fight anymore." She hadn't meant to spill her soul, but once the words started, she couldn't stop. The tears came hard and fast, and she sobbed into the phone to a stranger. A heavy silence followed. Shame washed over her. "I'm sorry," she stammered. "I dialed the wrong number. Please just forget I ever." "Don't hang up," the man's voice interrupted, calm but steady. Her breath hitched. Something in his tone carried weight, not pity. "You sound like you need someone to listen," he continued. "I may not be the person you meant to call. But I'm here now." And somehow, against all logic, Maya found herself talking. About her 2 jobs at the diner and as a cleaner. About her mother's illness and the scholarship she'd lost because she couldn't keep up. About how she still drew sketches of buildings in the margins of receipts, even though the dream of being an architect felt childish now. The man didn't interrupt, he didn't give hollow encouragement. He simply listened. Finally, he said, "You've been carrying more than most people twice your age. Yet you're still standing. That tells me you're stronger than you think." Maya pressed her sleeve to her eyes, embarrassed. "You don't even know me." "Not yet," he replied. She blinked. "What's your name?" "Ethan." "And you're?" "Maya." "Well, Maya," Ethan said, his voice softer now, "sometimes the wrong number is the right one." When she finally hung up, Maya lay staring at the ceiling. She felt lighter, but also foolish. Why would a stranger care? She had no idea that the man on the other end wasn't just anyone. Ethan Cole was the CEO of Cole Industries, one of the most powerful real estate companies in the country. He was a man who decided what cities looked like, whose buildings towered above skylines. To the public, he was ruthless, untouchable. But that night, he couldn't stop hearing the trembling voice of a girl named Maya, who spoke of dreams buried under exhaustion. And for the first time in years, Ethan wasn't thinking about contracts or profits as he stared out his penthouse window. For the first time, he was thinking about someone else. Part 2, The Stranger Who Believed. Approximately 750 words. The next morning, Maya dragged herself through another shift at the diner, exhaustion clinging to her bones. On her break, her phone buzzed with an unknown number. She frowned. "Hello, it's Ethan." Her stomach tightened. "Why are you calling me?" "Because I don't believe in coincidences," he said plainly. "Meet me." Maya nearly laughed. "Meet you? I don't even know who you are." "Then find out," he replied. Curiosity won out over fear. That evening, she found herself outside a cafe downtown. Inside, a tall man in an immaculate suit stood to greet her. His presence was commanding, his expression unreadable. "You," she breathed. She recognized his face from newspapers. "You're Ethan Cole." "Yes." He gestured for her to sit. "Maya." She hesitated, cheeks burning with embarrassment. "I shouldn't be here." "You came this far," he said quietly. "Stay." So she stayed. Over coffee, Ethan asked about her life again, not with idle curiosity, but with a sharp attentiveness that made her feel as though every word mattered. When she confessed she still drew building designs, his eyes lit up. "Bring them to me," he said. Her laugh was humorless. "They're just doodles." "No," Ethan replied, voice firm. "They're pieces of the person you still are. Don't let them rot in a drawer." 2 weeks later, Maya found herself standing in the gleaming boardroom of Cole Industries, clutching a folder of her sketches. Executives in suits eyed her skeptically. Ethan introduced her simply. "This is Maya. She has ideas worth hearing." Her hands shook as she spread her drawings on the table. Libraries that looked like sanctuaries, shelters that radiated warmth, community centers that invited light. The room fell silent. Finally, one executive spoke. "Interesting, but not profitable." Ethan's voice cut through. "Vision comes before profit. She sees what we've forgotten." For the first time, someone powerful defended her. That meeting became the beginning of something Maya never expected. Ethan arranged for her to shadow his architects, to learn and refine her skills. Quietly, he covered her overdue rent, though he never brought it up. At first, Maya resisted. "Why are you doing this?" she demanded one night. Ethan studied her, his eyes unreadable. "Because you reminded me why I started. Not for the towers or the money, but for the people who live in what we build. You showed me what I'd forgotten." She didn't know how to respond. But slowly, she let herself believe. Months passed. Maya grew bolder, presenting designs in meetings, her voice no longer shaking. She moved her mother into a safer apartment. The girl who had once cried into the wrong number was becoming a woman capable of shaping the city's future. And Ethan, who had long lived behind walls of glass and steel, found himself changed too. Maya's resilience reminded him of the humanity he had lost. She was a mirror, showing him both what was broken and what could still be healed. One night, standing together on the rooftop of his tallest building, the city glittering below, Maya turned to him. "Why me?" she whispered. "Out of all the people in the world, why answer my call?" Ethan's gaze held hers, steady and certain. "Because some calls aren't mistakes. Some are meant to be answered." Tears filled her eyes, not of despair this time, but of hope. Maya had dialed the wrong number. But in that single mistake, She had found not just opportunity, not just a second chance, but someone who believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. And for the first time in years, she looked at the future not with fear, but with possibility.